And we're live. Woo! All right. Well, this time, instead of being a few seconds behind, you could argue that I was, but I was at 6:48 ready to start. And we're live on Facebook. We're live on Facebook. I think. Yes. Okay. So, this time I was all set up, ready. All right. Okay. I was all set up, ready. We're live on Facebook, everybody. I was all set up, ready to go at 6:48. This time, not 6:51, not 6:52, not 7:30, not 7:15, not 7 o'clock. None of that stuff. And before anyone goes, because the average time is always only a few minutes, who is being rude? Why won't anyone stay for the whole 3 hours? Come on, guys. Or 2.5. Once upon a time, Storybrooke. Welcome to Storybrooke. Has everyone seen the shirt by now, or do you keep missing it? I wish I could show it throughout the entire video, but my camera's up this close, and if I do this, that's not just... I want my face to be shown. But, to be fair, you're not supposed to look at my face anyway. We're supposed to be watching the show. But, for Q&A at the end, and for me talking for the first 10 minutes, I want my face to show. It's hard to get both. I could set the camera farther away, but my room's a little cramped right now, and I don't want to show any of that stuff. So, yeah, I'm sorry, but you get what you get. And I just want to make sure everyone who watches my stream for at least a few minutes sees my shirt. Welcome to Storybrooke. Welcome to Once Upon a Time Marathon. It's another Sunday night. I hope it doesn't go by fast. I hate when it's over and we have to wait a week for our next one. It was a lot worse back when I was a child, because we would get an episode every week, but we wouldn't react to 3 episodes. We'd watch one 45-minute episode. Well, with commercial breaks, it's 1 hour, and then we would wait 1 week for the next one. And unlike what we're doing with 3 episodes and sometimes 4, we go every single week. What ABC doesn't do that. They start at the end of September. They go maybe every week for like 6 or 7 episodes. Then you have to skip Thanksgiving and wait 2 weeks. Then you do just only a couple more after Thanksgiving. And then you have to go on a long 3-month break. And then you come back in March, and then, yes, you go every single week. There was 1 year they skipped a week in April, but they normally don't do that. Then you get to this 2-hour season finale, and that's when you get 2 episodes just to finish out the season, which is fine. It's almost like what we do, but still 1 episode shorter, And so we do that 2-hour season finale, and then you wait 4 to 5 whole months for the next season to start in September or October again. And so, those hiatuses, they were so annoying. We don't have to do that. The show's done and over, and it's no longer airing. You can watch the whole thing and pace yourself however you want on Disney Plus or Hulu now, the whole show. Binge watch it, and technically, if you did it without bathroom breaks and sleep and stuff, you could get the whole show done in like 4.5 days. That's how long it takes putting it all together. 178 episodes takes 4.5 days. From if you started on Sunday night, like right now, you'd be done by Thursday morning. So, and that includes the spinoff and the specials. So yeah, wow. If you just were to go, keep watching the show and never stop. But if obviously you have life and busy stuff, right? You could probably get it done maybe in a month, depends on how much time you put in the show. With us just doing 3 episodes a week and not 3 episodes a day or 5 episodes or whatever, that's why it's taking us a year. But a little over a year. But you know what I mean? Yeah. You could watch it however you want. I'm eager. I think 4 years is too slow. 2 years is also too slow. And I think 7 years back in the day when it aired was too slow. 1 season a year. Okay, no. Though I do think that unless you have as much time as I did after the show ended to watch the show in like a month, it's also too fast. And so I like the way we're going with this, doing a little bit over a year on it. I think that's just about right. I can survive a year getting through these episodes with you guys, but not 7 years, not 4 years, not 2 years. That's why I was against the 2 to 1 episodes. It's a long show. Shows like that are not that long anymore. In fact, if this came out today and there's only 10 episodes a season, like there are on the Disney Plus shows nowadays and the other TV shows on TV, we would do 1 or 2 episodes a week, maybe 2 at most. But this was back when shows had 22 episodes and they take forever to get through, and they have a lot of filler episodes that don't relate to the bigger season arc, you know? So I just want to get through them faster, and that's why we do 3. None of you guys said 4 episodes, so I at least agreed to stick to 3. I didn't like the 1 or 2 idea, but yeah, but like with the 3 episodes comes the consequences, and we have to do 4 sometimes because 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Why would we stop right before a season finale? Come on, right? Right. That's why when I was in Mississippi a couple weeks ago, we did 4, right? Well, today we're doing 3 episodes, obviously, season 2, episodes 7 through 9. But like, you get why while we're doing this marathon, every once in a while we'll have to do 4. But yeah, I mostly stuck with 3. So that's why we do 3. So yeah. So that's why, I'm doing what I'm doing. I love the marathon. I love introducing new people to the show. Um Never had a chance to do that in person though. So this is why I put this together, because I got tired of just marathoning it by myself once a year since 2018 when it ended. So I thought I'd do something different than the usual by myself routine. Except instead of in a month, it's going to take us longer to do it publicly, this marathon publicly, because like I respect your lives and I hope you respect mine, right? And you can only get together once a week. And for those who can't get together once a week, I invite you to watch the episodes on your own time, but stay caught up with how many episodes we've been going through on Facebook and YouTube, right? So hopefully you're getting all my messages and all my reminders. Sorry, this one was sent a little late, 30 minutes before we went 20 minutes before we went live because of 650. But yeah, I'm happy that for once I was ready before on time. And I was like, oh, it's 6:48. Let me just wait before I push the go live. Do 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 do. Well, how does the Jeopardy song go? Do 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 do. 6:49. Do do do. And then it's like 6:50, and I push the go live, but it takes a second to load. So that's why you probably argue that I was a few seconds late. You can't start right on the sharp because I don't know how long it's gonna load, but I know it's like at least 5 seconds when I push go live. Luckily, everything was set up 2 minutes in advance. I could have just started early, but I wanted to wait for the 650, so I did. And then a few seconds later, I went live, and then I went over to Facebook and started you guys at the same time as well on Facebook. I didn't have to say, "Hi, YouTube people, give me a second while I get Facebook set up." No, I didn't have to do that. I did start talking to YouTube though, right as I was pushing the go live button. So in case you missed a few seconds of what I was saying, that's why I kind of staggered myself a little bit at the beginning there. All right, well, it's once upon time, 6:58. So, and to make sure our night doesn't go south, and that starting on time ruins our start on time for the show, let's just get started. Last time I was done talking at 6:58, but then I went on a whole rant on something else and started at 7:01. Let's see if I can avoid making that mistake. So I'm not going to say anything, not even try to come up with another conversation or another topic to talk about. So ignore my silence for just a few more seconds as I try to get the show started at 7 on the dot. Maybe a few seconds after that. But yeah. So Child of the Moon, season 2, episode 7. Click it. Push it. But don't start it yet because I'm not starting it yet. So yes, push it, click it, start it, and if you have your timestamp at 0, the how many minutes are left? I'll tell you in just a second. Come on, pick it up. Okay, there we go. It's 43 minutes and 54 seconds. So your timestamp should say there's 40. If you have the Disney Plus version, which if you don't and you're watching it on something else, it's going to be different because Disney Plus adds their own credits at the end. 43 minutes for Disney Plus people. 43 minutes, 54 seconds should be left on the timestamp if you paused it and rewinded it like 10 seconds. So, all right, we are going to start 69 in just a few seconds. Let me look at my phone to see how many seconds we have left before we start. Oh, no, now it's 7. So we're going to start right now. All right. We have a Red Riding Hood episode, then we have a zombie episode, and then we have the winter finale, which is like the mid-season finale, meaning that we're halfway through the show and we're moving on to the next season 2 arc. Not halfway through the show, sorry. Halfway through the season, moving to the next arc, because back then sometimes seasons would do half season plots, you know. So anyway, so we're gonna before we move, season 2 has 3 arcs actually. So we're gonna move on to the second portion of season 2 next week. But we're gonna finish up this whole Emma and Hook being stuck in the Enchanted Forest arc today. So let's get started. And I'm gonna push play in 3. Wait, hang on. Let me see my seconds. Turns out we are starting at 7:01. I'm sorry. But we're going to push play in 3, 2, 1, now. And now it changed to 7:01. So I'm sorry about that. But we're still on time for the most part. Let me turn up the volume. So this is the Red Riding Hood episode recap. That's why we recapped season 1 a little bit. Oh, remember King George in present day? He's gonna shine in this episode. Remember how he poisoned Snow so that she couldn't have children, but then they found water to help heal that. But King George, we saw him in present day at the end of that episode. So we're gonna get a lot of King George this time. We haven't seen him in present day that much. So this will be interesting. Sim dwarves, hard at work. That's exactly going to do. I'm just trying to. I know Grumpy's lines. Sorry. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And he falls through a sinkhole in the mine. Uh oh. Hopefully he didn't kill himself. All right. I'll be quiet now. If you have any comments, I will reply to them at the end of our episodes tonight. I have people complaining that I'm not replying to them, just family members. I will. Questions are at the end after we finish the 3 episodes. We're bringing them home tonight, everybody. Emma and Snow will come back home to Storybrooke tonight. Not this episode. Sorry for the spoiler there. Not this episode. They might have the fairy dust to make the hat work, but something's going to go wrong. And they're going to have to find another way. But it will happen tonight. They're celebrating, though, before crisis happens. So. Cheese. Mice do love cheese. Reminds me of Ratatouille, Pixar movie. Henry, you're too young for coffee. Too young for coffee, Henry. There's King George. I told you he had a role in this present day. Good always wins, defeats evil. Why do Snow and Charming both have evil parents? Like literally, evil queen, King George. You got a lot of evil queen. We didn't get much of King George. This is why they wanted to do this. So King George has no redemption arc while rigging it up. Yes, we will defeat King George again. If we defeat him in the Enchant Forest, we can defeat him in the real world. There he goes, smiling. Well, you'll see what he's up to. You'll see. Also, a Red Riding Hood episode, which is relatable to what King George is planning. Fair point. Can't take any chances. You, once you don't use your magic for 28 years, you might not remember how to control it. Imagine Elsa not using ice powers for 28 years. Would she forget how to control her ice powers? I mean, it's easy to remember to do it with love. But I can argue she had love as a child. Why did she still freeze on his hand, forehead? It has nothing to do with this. But still, like Elsa, uh, Red has the power to turn into a wolf. She can't control it. She can kill people. Not with ice powers, but with being a wolf. Wolf eats people. You know why people don't have pet wolves because they're dangerous. It's a wild animal. Remember the bears, lions, tigers, oh mine. Wolves are under that category. And we're getting a flashback of how Red learned to control the wolf when she was in the Enchant Forest. We saw how she was the wolf, but last we heard of her, she couldn't control it, and Snow and her ran into the forest while the hunters were hunting them down. See, Snow and Charming are both playing the Anna in this role. They're kind of like the people who believe in their not sister, but in their friend, and they know that she's not a bad person. And then you got King George, who we already know is evil, but if you were to watch this episode without knowing the rest of the series, he plays like the Prince Hans in this kind of thing. So this is foreshadowing because Frozen will show up in Once Upon a Time in a later season, and this episode came out before the cartoon Disney movie did. Frozen on Once Upon a Time came out after the movie, but this episode alone, season 2, was 2012 to 13, so it was before Frozen came out because Frozen came at the end of 13 during the 3rd season. So I mean, technically, it was before Frozen even existed. We didn't even know the plot. And Once Upon a Time, you'd think that Frozen was so original, but they kind of took their idea from Once Upon a Time. No one seems to realize that because it's not really magic, but it's still something that controls. There's Aurora and Henry, and there's sleeping night from the fire dream. That doesn't happen. You dream of a house being on fire and you get burned. Doesn't mean you get burned in real life. This show has interesting stuff. Sleeping curses make your dreams become real. So if you're dreaming of being in a fire, you will wake up with burns. Everything will be fine, Ruby. Calm down. You haven't killed anybody yet. Relax. Like I said in my post, this is PG, so don't worry. Anything violent will not be, it won't be shown as violent. It worked. The cloak worked, even if it was ripped. If it worked in the past, then surely you probably still remember how to control it in the present. So this is the flashback where she learns how to control it without the cloak. So, and she's worried about not remembering 20 years. You don't use magic for 28 years. Well, I already said that. But if you don't use magic for 20 years, you can forget. Red's not the only wolf, the only werewolf. No, technically is not. This is where Red finds her family. Turns out Granny wasn't her only family left. She has relatives that are still alive that turn into wolves. Used to be a cabin, castle cabin, until it sunk underground or something. Anita? What? I know an Anita. That's funny. I didn't. I'll wait. Wait a second. They haven't told you this yet, so I'll hold my comment until the show does it. Okay, there we go. Now I can say it. So Ruby's mom is still alive, and her name's Anita. I didn't remember that part. I just knew that we were going to get an episode about Ruby's mom. So yes, I memorized the show from front to back, but many details that even I don't remember. And I didn't know Ruby's mom's name was Anita. I just knew her as Ruby's mom, who turns into a wolf. And she's still alive when Red thought she died because she's not Ruby yet, obviously in the flashback. Anyway, I know an Anita from my mission. It's interesting. Billy is dead. Another dead body in the dumpster. Oh, see, I told you, Red can't control it. Not after 20 years. She's gonna learn to control it again. Speak, Speaking of Henry, between life and death, and it's real. This world that Aurora and Henry jump into is real, and it's in between life and death. So Henry could die in this world. Will that heal the burn? What's the price? Regina couldn't afford it. See, Rumple has a soft spot for children because he knows what it's like to lose a son. So he's willing to pay the price for children. But for adults, nope. There's a price to pay. Don't make a deal with Rumple unless you're under 18. Because he doesn't have a soft spot for 18 and older. He's a violent man. Yeah. There's public people. See how this relates to Frozen. People called Elsa a monster. Humans want to believe we're the monsters. So, hmm. If she learns to control it, she doesn't need the cloak. Also, I keep mentioning Frozen a lot because I did watch the Broadway musical on Disney Plus that released last Friday. So I've been Frozen topic all weekend, I guess. But this episode kind of does have similarities to Elsa. It's just instead of ice powers, turned into a wolf. See, King George is part of this. He has a whole plot. He wants to kill her. King George, our villain of the episode. Oh dear. What is he gonna do? He will not succeed. We already know he's evil from the start. So I guess he's different than Prince Hans. We're not even halfway. Oh, we are halfway through this episode. Hans hasn't revealed his villainy until the end of the and we're only halfway. It's not exact. She finally learned to control it in the past. Now what about the present? Mhm. Mhm. She's gone. Sorry, King George. She used to be a hotel. No, she used to be a wolf, not a hotel. Granny used to be a wolf, and then she gave it up except for her smell. 'Cause she wanted to protect Ruby. Or right. I still call people by their cursed names, I'm sorry. Even though the curse is long broken. It's only White. She doesn't wanna leave because she found her mother. Yep. She really lost hers, though. Snow lost hers. This is when they part ways. Not really. Oh. Yep, the Queen's Knights followed Snow into the den. That's not gonna be good for Snow. Now they're gonna wanna kill her for leading knights into their den. This is why I told you they weren't really parting ways, even though they were about to. We see Red in later flashbacks, this after where this takes place, so yeah. You're good, Red. You're a good person, and you know that. Rehabilitation. No, that's not what you deserve. You don't deserve to be killed. You can control it again. Anyway, oh, S Spencer or King George had it all along. Mhm. King George. This is King George's car. It's no spoiler. You could obviously see it from the beginning, his whole plan. Mhm. Yep. His plan to take over Storybrooke and win back the kingdom he lost in the Enchanted Forest. Ha ha ha. Sorry, I don't think King George will succeed. He failed in the past. He's going to fail in the present. Storybrooke will always be the King Charming, King and Prince and Queen Snow and Charming's kingdom. I said that weird. Storybrooke will always be their kingdom. We know Snow doesn't die. She's alive in the present. I don't know. A mother? I don't want a mother like that. Evil and killing? I don't think so. Be a friendly wolf, which is rare in this world. You'll be lucky if you come across a friendly wolf that doesn't want to eat you, even if they're right before she was about to tear Snowskin apart. There's Red jumping right in the crossfire, preventing it. Yeah, like I said, not violent, as I made it sound in my post. Mm-hmm. And she loves Snow. Exactly. She's not a killer. She chose Snow. Well, now that her mother's dead, she has no reason to stay there anymore. She can go find that cabin in the woods, and that would keep the timeline intact. Sticking by Snow's side all the way through the curse. Charming, we need you before Spencer kills you. Before Spencer kills her. I'm saying the wrong words. Granny's the hotel. Spencer wants to kill his, his adopted son. Charming's gonna prove it. She's just scared. She doesn't have a mother this time, so let's hope Charming comes up with the same inspiring words to help her control it. She could bite your hand off. I wouldn't do that. I would never put my hand out to a wolf's mouth. But in this show, obviously, David had enough faith to believe that she wouldn't bite him. But I would not be that brave, to be honest. She learned how to control it, both in past and present. Happy ending. But it's not over yet, guys. We got 7 minutes left. Something's gonna go wrong here. Let me just warn you. She already knew. Happy ending. Red controls the wolf again. But Spencer is gone. King George ran. Stop him. What is he gonna do next? Can't let him get away with something else. Ruby decides to go with him. Luckily, she did because Charming's gonna do something, and if Ruby wasn't there to stop him, Charming would have been just as bad as Spencer was. You'll see. Yeah, true. You're never gonna see your wife and daughter again. You gotta be more cautious with your things, I guess. See? Yep. Charming is so mad he's about to kill his own stepfather for this. But Ruby's there to knock some sense into him. Well, except David's not a killer, though. He's a real monster, King George is. The ruby was just a distraction so that he could destroy the hat that Charming was trying to use to bring back his family. And now that's gone. Not a sad scene to kind of take lightly. It's kind of sad being in his shoes. That would be upsetting. It doesn't show, but he does get locked away after this, so we don't have to worry about him again. King George. Now, the other sad thing is that Red just lost her mother in the flashback. So. First, you lose a mother, and now you have no way to get your wife and daughter home. That's sad. Separate forever, but not forever. She protected her family. She chose Snow over her biological family. Her friends were more important than her family in this case because her family was equal. Snow's all the family Red needs. Yep, it's okay to be a wolf and a human. You just gotta control it with love, not fear. Elsa had to learn the lesson the hard way too. After almost killing Anna, love can thaw a frozen heart, but it can't thaw a murderous wolf. Mhm. You forgot? You left Belle chained up and you forgot? You were so distracted on stopping King George, you forgot Belle was chained. That was an accident, but that's funny. Okay, listen. Did you guys hear that? Woo! She can control the wolf, so don't worry. She's not killing anyone tonight. She can control the wolf. Now that she can control it, she can run and feel run free, being a wolf without killing people. We haven't seen Emma and Snow at all in this episode, or tonight, since this was our first one. Now we're gonna see it from Aurora's perspective, entering into the dream world. Henry has the necklace though to control himself. Aurora doesn't have the necklace though, so she's gonna wake up. Little boy. His name's Henry. Whoa. So when you wake up from the sleeping curse, you go into this sleeping, dreaming world. You know, eventually those nightmares fade away. But since Aurora and Henry woke up around the same time, season one, 22, season two, episode one, the time difference is only a few minutes. Okay, hang on. You can push the next episode, but let me talk for at least a minute. Um, if you pause it and you rewind it, you got 43 minutes and 55 seconds left on the clock on the Disney Plus version. But make sure you have it at whatever way you're watching it, Hulu or DVD. Make sure you have it at 0 and that not a single second has played. But before we start the next episode, Into the Deep, so yes, a Red Riding Hood episode where she learns to control the wolf, both in past and present. Though by the time she controlled it, she lost her mother and a potential boyfriend, Billy, the mice from Cinderella. Anyway, but yeah, she learned to control it. That's the main part. But then in the process, while they were distracted helping Ruby, Spencer or King George burnt the hat. So now Charming can't open a portal to bring Snow and Emma back. However, that plan did fail. But remember from last week, because we didn't see Emma and Snow at all in this episode until the very end. If you remember last week, they were going to the giant beanstalk to grab a magic compass, steal the ashes from Cora, and then go back home. So they have a plan. Charming's plan may have backfired, but Emma and Snow's plan hasn't backfired yet. So this is why I said at the beginning, I didn't mean to spoil too much, but I did say that, they weren't coming back in this episode, that I told you something was going to go wrong with the fairy dust thing. I just didn't want to spoil too much so you can enjoy the show. But, that was the point, was the fact that the plan failed means that Snow and Emma have another plan. And it's gonna not be till episode 9, but episode 8, we're gonna see that plan in progression. And then episode 9, they'll be able to come back home. So yes, we're wrapping up the storyline pretty quickly soon. But before we jump into the next episode, now that everyone's aware that Henry and Aurora are able to communicate through the sleeping curse, they can communicate, and Aurora can tell Henry that they have a plan to get back home. And if they tell them the plan, then Charming can put his worries aside. And if they ever need anything from Storybrooke, they can communicate, right? This is important, and it's a key factor of how they're actually going to get home. So let's keep watching. 7:46, starting a minute late again, but that's okay because we started the last episode a minute late. So we're going to push play in 5, 4, 3, a minute and a half late. Five, four, three, two, one, now. Next episode. Previously on What's My Time? Got a little flashback of season one there. Yeah. Recap. Remember Emma left Hook to die at the beanstalk? We haven't seen Hook at all tonight in the previous episode. That's another person we haven't seen. I told you he's going to be on the show he's going to be on the show for the rest of the series. He's just guest starring, which is why he's not in every episode yet. But to be fair, I guess Emma hasn't been in every episode either. But she's in most episodes, and the reason why we haven't seen Hook in most episodes yet is because he doesn't become a regular until or the end of season two. Your way is not the right way, Cora. Speaking of the example you set for your daughter when you killed Daniel, that's what made her evil. It's all your fault. I told you this was the zombie season. If you read my post right before this live stream, it was at 6:30. I know, late notice, but you had 20 minutes to look at it before I started this live stream. 30 minutes before we started the episode. This is the zombie episode. And Cora, it doesn't make sense to me. Cora uses one heart to resurrect the dead and have them chase them on. Look at these dead people she already crushed the hearts of and coming back alive. She uses one heart to control them all. The heart should only control one person. Yes, these are a bunch of dead people coming to attack Emma and Snow. Oh, and look at the title sequence. It's a bunch of dead people walking around. But like it's not as violent as it seems. Hmm. It's called the sleeping curse, Emma. You haven't been under. Yep, it is. What else did you lie about, Aurora? Stop jumping to conclusions. Yep, and they can communicate him through Henry in the sleeping curse. Go back to sleep, Aurora. This is our way to get home. Man. Mhm. They're finally gonna communicate. This is Henry's point of view now. Say it, Henry. Say it, Henry. Little did they know they were going against Cora this whole time. Regina's like, I haven't seen my mother since she went to Wonderland a long time ago, 30 years ago. Now I have to deal with her again? Hopefully, she doesn't turn you evil again. You're on a redemption path. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I need to get my cord. My laptop's almost on dead. Keep watching. Yep. Yeah, Belle. No, don't meet her. Emma and Snow. Exactly. We don't get a flashback this episode. This episode is focused on trying to get them closer to home. Not home yet, but closer enough to where they can get home in the next episode, which we'll watch as well. So yes, this is our first official episode with no, well, not true because we had that season 2 episode 1 where we, but like we didn't, if you were watching it for the first time, you didn't know Aurora and Philip getting killed by a wraith was a present day. You would have thought it was a flashback. So this is our first episode where there's no flashback, and yeah, we'll get more flashback episodes. It's part of the whole series, but there are some episodes where the plot is so big in the present, you don't have room for a flashback. So you don't have room for a flashback in the episode. Yeah. Aurora. Aurora was so against Emma and Snow at the beginning of the season, and now we're like almost halfway through, and she treats them like family. And that cool. Snow and Aurora. Who thought we'd have that princess team up in the present? Because Cinderella and Snow White were flashback in season 1. A princess team up in the present. Let's go. What's debatable? Cora and Rumpel? No, no, no. Rumpel can be more powerful than Cora. Yes, curse is broken. Let's stop reading about heroes, Henry. Let's be a hero. Sometimes being a hero is not running into a fire. That's true. True. In yourself. So remember, the zombies are coming to attack. It's not going to be easy to transmit information like a text message or a telephone. They might get interrupted or woken up before finishing the information. See, I told you this was a good idea. This was a good idea to start out with, but when people are facing villains, there's not a lot of time to spare to dream and talk and communicate. You call someone on the phone and then suddenly you're being attacked by a zombie. What do? You hang up, right? Try to protect yourself. It's like a telephone call, and you're in the middle of something important. I can't talk right now. Bye. Oh, oh, imagine fighting dead people. That must be nasty in real life. At least they're not showing any blood or proof that their hearts were pulled out. Keep the compass. You gotta run for it. Obviously, with one heart, Cora controls them, and you can't kill them if they're already dead. They took Aurora. Yep, Cora. Always interfering with their plans. He can't go back in there. His burns are getting worse. The longer you stay in the dream world, this is why you shouldn't use a necklace to keep yourself in there. The longer you stay in there, the more burned you get. How Snow survived when she was under a sleeping curse is that she always kept waking up before she could talk to whoever was there. But how rude, Cora! How dare you say that to Avora? He doesn't care. Mhm. Avora is not a damsel in distress. She's not gonna take on Cora's deals. Not wrong. They do find a way to bring Philip back from the dead, since he's killed by a wraith, not just by some knife or any normal way to die. Get killed by a wraith, you're not completely dead. Just like how the dream world isn't in between life and death. When you get killed by a wraith, it's between life and death as well. Be brought back. Yeah. Not another sleeping curse. Hmm. He healed the burn. That's out of the question. No. Henry shouldn't go back. He's a child. Yeah, Snow White. Regina, you made her eat the apple once. She's been under a sleeping curse. Put me under a sleeping curse. Like husband, like wife. Snow White goes under a sleeping curse, and now the husband. It's time for the husband to go under a sleeping curse. I spent far too long looking for my wife. It is time to bring her home. I can see Charming being discouraged there. Hook doesn't like being double crossed by Cora. That's a good pirate. It hurts Cora and it helps Hook. But he still wants revenge on Rumpelstiltskin, so he's still an evil pirate, even if he's playing good just to get there. He's an evil pirate this season. His redemption arc goes as pretty quick as Regina's. Rumple's takes the whole series. That's a sad thing. Don't go under a sleeping curse, people, unless you want to sleep forever. Let's play the blame. I like that speech from Snow. It's not Regina's fault. Like Snow said, if Snow didn't tell that secret, Regina never would have. I guess it was her fault. She chose revenge over love and hope. But still, Snow White, you should have not told that secret to Cora. She did kill Daniel, and then Regina became evil, cast the curse, and okay, I guess it could be Regina's fault. But she's trying to be good now, so give her a little slack. Yeah. Magic is not evil. You can use it for good. Okay, Regina, I understand you're promising Henry, but you can use your magic for good. You might have learned how to use dark magic, but dark magic can be turned into light. Use a good magic around Henry. You can do that. You don't have to give up magic just to be good. But I understand her efforts, I guess. She does use magic again, by the way. Mhm. Speaking of gold, explaining everything to Charming. Come on, show us that. Okay, we saw the pushing. No, Henry, you're a child. Thank you, Regina. That's a lot coming from you. You're giving Henry hope that Snow will get back and wake Charming from the sleeping curse. That is good on your part. This is why Henry shouldn't need to go back in there because of his burn, but also that he doesn't need to. You did his wife. Regina should put Charming under a sleeping curse. So Aurora. So this goes with the in the real Sleeping Beauty fairy tale. Um, Aurora falls asleep for 100 years before Philip wakes her up. And it's not like the Disney version where she's asleep for only a matter of minutes. But but yeah, Aurora was alive before Snow White was, and so yes, back then sleeping curses were made by blood instead of apple. Exactly. Henry, you had faith that Emma would break the curse. Now have faith that Snow will make it back home to wake Charming. Mhm. Like father, no, like grandfather, like grandson. We haven't, we haven't seen Henry's father since that one flashback. Throw it, Milan. Yep. You're putting Charming in a risky situation. If he can't find the room, he can't talk to Snow, and he will be asleep forever. He hasn't been there yet because he hasn't woken up, but maybe he can find the room instead of waiting for Snow to wake him up since she can't do that. Why? And that's the purpose of him doing this. This is cool. So the reason why they could easily just get the apple because I'm sure Henry didn't finish that turnover. But the reason why the show didn't do that because season one was all about Snow White. Season two is Sleeping Beauty focused. So they wanted to do the Sleeping Beauty version. I can understand why they wanted to do that because it corresponds with the season, unlike the apple. Which was last season. Good question. Where is? Oh yeah, because she doesn't know that Henry is not going under this time. Touching the necklace. It's glowing every time he gets closer. It's hot. If it's hot, that means the fire's on beneath the floor. Haha. There he goes. There he goes. He found it. He found the room. The sleeping curse room. Yeah, you don't have a lot of time. So say your message. It's not hard for Snow to figure that out. She has to get home to wake him up. Except they can't kiss because Snow's not really there. And Charming's not really where she is. It's like over the telephone. You can't give true love's kiss when you're calling over the phone. You gotta be in person. Snow's waking up. At least you said your message so they don't have to do this again. It's okay. All she was gonna say was, "I love you too." That's not important. At least you said your message. But now Charming can't wake up because he's under the sleeping curse for the first time. And the only way to do that is true love's kiss. That's not true. Rumble's like, nope. He has he has to be woken up by true love's kiss. Snow White, stop panicking. You will get home. Yep. Now they have a plan. Except Mulan left. Remember, Hook could let Aura escape though. There's no reason to give Korra the compass. Gotta stop Mulan. They don't stop her. This that would be bad. And even Korra just found out that Aura left. Hook has a better plan, Korra, for you to get what you want. He's trying to prove that he's on your side. He's still a villain. Yeah. Oh, we don't want to see Snow kill Mulan. No, she's a warrior. And was like, "What? Really? That's not what the message was supposed to be." Or it changed it. Look, you barely saved your life there by betraying Cora for a little bit. Now you're teaming up again. Better not betray her again. She might kill. Let's go get it. Magic ink and Cell. It's the ticket to going home. Cora has Aurora's heart. So what is she gonna do with it? She's not gonna kill her, obviously, but she's controls her and everything she says. So what is she gonna do? All right. Well, there was no flashback, but what a lot. Anyway, um, okay, okay, you can push the next episode, but I want to talk before we start it. So once it starts, pause it and then rewind it. And if you rewind it to the like where not even a single second has played, you should have on Disney Plus at least 43 minutes and 47 seconds left. But otherwise, whatever version you're using, make sure you haven't pushed play at all if you want to stay sync with my commentary. All right, so let's talk about the episode really quick. So through the dream world, Henry and Aurora were able to communicate. Rumple was able to tell them everything they needed to know to get back home, but they got interrupted by zombies, and then Cora kidnapped Aurora, and then Hook let her go. Cora got so mad she almost killed Hook, but then Hook actually took her heart. Hook doesn't have magic, but his Hook does. So with his Hook being magical, he's able to pull hearts out. And that will be explained in this next episode here. We'll get a flashback of how Hook's Hook became magical. But you know, in the meantime, he pulls out Aurora's heart and just to please Cora, and then team up with her again because Emma betrayed. He was betrayed by Cora. No, first he was betrayed by Emma, then he was betrayed by Cora. You know, for failing, and then now he doesn't like being double crossed. But instead of teaming up with Emma again, he decided to please Cora to win her back. So anyway, silly Hook. He is a villain this season. He doesn't choose to be good until season 3. So you got to deal with his choices of being evil, right? But he's a new character. He wasn't in season 1, so he has the right to be evil this season. Regina, on the other hand, it's time for her to be good. So we'll see how that goes, right? So yeah, then Aurora escaped, found Mulan and Snow White and Emma. Um, in the meantime, Snow White, because she's been under a sleeping curse before, she was able to find that fiery room. Charming was able to put himself under a sleeping curse so that they can get the information they needed. And now they have their plan. Get the magical ink from Rumple's jail cell, steal the compass, get the ashes, go home. So that's the plan, and that's what's going to happen in this next episode here. It's like a movie. Every single Sunday night, we watch Once Upon a Time. It's like watching a big, giant, enormous movie, and we're about to get the third act of this play. So, it comes with a happy ending, actually. A cliffhanger, obviously, because there's still the rest of the show. There's 7 seasons, remember? We're only on season 2. We're not even done with season 2. Now, I bet you're wondering why they're getting back home now. Because, like, when season 1 happened, they didn't break the curse till the end of the season. It turns out, as much as they loved focusing the whole season on the curse, um, other than making filler episodes that didn't relate to the overall storyline, they couldn't come up with enough details to stretch this one out for a whole season. And that was their plan when I watched this back in the day. Well, that was their plan at first, was to stretch this out the entire season, where Emma and Snow are in the Enchanted Forest for all of season 2. But then about halfway through the writing, they decided, we actually want to have Cora be in Storybrooke. We want to actually have, sorry, I just spoiled that for you. But yes, they wanted to have other plots. Let's just say that they wanted to have other plots. They didn't want to wait for season 3 to happen just to do this. So they have other plots they want to do for season 2, but it can't work with Em and Snow being in the Enchant Forest. So then they decide to make this a mini arc of the entire season. And at just pre-warning as we go forward, the future seasons of Once Upon a Time are not like season 1. The whole season plot doesn't cover the whole season. Uh, they mostly do half season arcs where they do a half arc for the beginning of the season and then a half arc for the end of the season. Season 2 is different because that's not when they decided to do this. They just wanted Rumple to find his son in season 2. They wanted to do other things. But when they get to season 3, that's when they decided that plot structure wise, in a best way. They still have filler episodes because you've got 11 episodes. If you cut the season in half, but the best way to avoid filler episodes or just do just a couple at least, is to do half season arcs, and that's what they kind of discovered when they did season 2. That's not what they planned. They just wanted to do other things, but as they finished season 2, that's what they thought was better going forward, and it did work. It kept the ratings up until season 4, so that was a great idea on their part. Not stretch out the plot too long, right? And so anyway, so that's what they're doing here. The first 9 episodes. So the season 2 is the only season with 3 arcs technically. They have Emma and Snow in the Enchant Forest, and they try to get back to Storybrooke, right? Then we're gonna spend the next 9 episodes doing something else that now that I spoiled, I'm sorry. It involves Corbin and Storybrooke. We have that plot, 9, 18, and then you have a 4 episode plot of something else. So anyway, that's what they're doing. However, they found out by the end of season 2 that doing 3 arcs was a little sloppy, so that they'll eventually just stick with 2. But that's better than having one curse that doesn't get broken until the end of the season, because that can drag on for so long and get boring. And then you have one that has too many arcs, and so that's when we get to the half and half is season 3. But season 2 has 3 arcs. And so, yes, as we approach this next episode, just keep in mind we're heading into the final episode of this part 1 of season 2 arc. We're not done with season 2 though, because starting next week we're going to start a whole new plot. So however this episode ends tonight, this episode 9, it's going to lead us into what we're going to get into in the next few episodes. So anyway, let's just start the next episode because now we're 5 minutes late. So yeah, hopefully your timestamps are at 0. This is called the Queen of Hearts. Do you remember her from season 1? We're getting Wonderland back already. But nevertheless, we'll start the episode. 3, 2, 1, now. My goodness. Our night's almost over, guys. When this episode's over, we just got 15 minutes of Q&A and then we're done. I wanted this to end. Like I said at the beginning, I want this to last as long as possible because I hate waiting a week. But it always goes by fast no matter how much you try to control the slowness. We do get a flashback in this episode. So. Captain Hook. What is he doing? Freeing Belle from her tower. Obviously, she stayed locked up until the curse was broken, so Hook doesn't free her. You can't kill Belle. She's in the present day. If they didn't reveal that she was alive in season one, then we could have believed that she threw herself off the tower, and then the truth would have been that Hook killed her. But nope, too late. You already convinced us that she was alive, and we seen her alive. So yes, Regina and Hook have crossed paths before. Before the curse. Let me be specific. Not before season two. Not during season one. Hook didn't go with them. He stayed in the Enchanted Forest with Mulan and Aurora. Otherwise, he wouldn't try to fight to go to Storybrooke with Cora. Mhm. And that's how she faked her death because Regina, when she was talking to Rumple in the diner, remember, she was like, "You told me Cora was dead. You said so yourself." And then Regina's like, "Well, you taught her well to fake her death." So, yes, this is why she's alive in present day because obviously Hook failed at this assassination and Cora faked it. It's not a spoiler. He's just saw her in present day this whole entire season so far. That is optimistic. But that doesn't mean it's not true. Because Cora will make a villain out of you. Rumple has his own reasons, but later, because I don't want to spoil. That flashback has not come to shown yet why Rumple hates Cora. We know why Regina hates her. We don't know why Rumple hates her. True. That's not a way to prove it, Rumple. That's turning her back into a villain. She's not gonna lie to Henry and kill his mother and grandmother. I understand her motivation. She doesn't want to risk Cora. In fact, when Cora does come to Storybrooke, she's gonna she's gonna do something that will put Regina in the public eye as a villain. So I'm not gonna spoil what her plans are when she gets to Storybrooke because that's gonna be for next Sunday when we jump into our next plot. But my point, without trying to spoil anything, my point is that Rumple has a fair point. Knowing how this show plays out, Rumple has a fair point. She's not gonna be a better anything when Cora arrives, and that's gonna be sad. So, yep. Emma on the scroll. Emma, 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 Emma. Rumple wrote Emma, 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 Emma. Gina, you don't need to lie to Henry. Yeah, yeah, this is not the way to be better, though. Mhm. Not yet. She's trying, but she hasn't changed yet. She will by the end of the season, but not yet. That's not really senses, Rumple. That's coming to your senses with me trying to get Emma and Snow back, not killing them. A dead fairy. Because remember, when she went with the Mad Hatter, only two people could go in and two people could come out. At least through the looking glass. When we watch Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, that rule doesn't apply to rabbit holes or beans. It just applies to the looking glass. Two in, two out. Yep, we saw that flashback at the beginning of the season. It was our first flashback if you don't count the Aurora one and Mulan from episode one, because that was present. Two in, two back. Get it? We will get to the Wonderland show. It aired during the third season, so I'm waiting till we get to season three before we do that show. And sadly, even with this arc coming to an end, we're not exactly halfway through season two either, because there's still only 22 episodes. And if this is 9 episodes and the next arc is nine, and then you have four, you have to get through 2 episodes of the next arc before we're halfway. So we won't be halfway till next week. But yeah, we still got a ways to go before season three or Wonderland. Reveal! You've seen the Queen of Hearts. You've seen Cora, but you never put two and two together, even when we just saw her go to Wonderland in episode two. Did you think they were separate people or one identity? If you have any care to put comments below, let me know what you thought if you were watching this for the first time. If you've already seen this, then you already knew and you were keeping your mouth shut, I hope, right? For the new people watching this. You don't have to keep your mouth shut with me, though, because I seen the whole show. But I invited people who haven't seen it to watch this, too. So hopefully, those who've seen the show and who are watching right now kept your mouth shut. Queen of Hearts is Cora. That's her fairy tale name. Before, she was just a random mother of Regina, but now she has a title. She's the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. We will see her in the Wonderland show, by the way. Probably not a probably was an obvious thing, right? We won't get to that show until next season, but for the time being, I will let you know that we will see her again, even when she's not on this show anymore. We'll see her again. Cora's not one of the main characters like Hook is. She's gonna only stay here for this season, and that's it. My door's not locked. Someone's trying to open my door, guys. So or a smile, knowing that Hook is not falling for true love or tricks. Emma's not useless. She's the savior of fairy tales. All the dust is gone. That's exactly where Snow left off when Charming was almost going to wake from his coma. This was her end. Beep, beep, beep. Something's happening. That's kind of a mimic of season one. I know things. I remember things, even if it's been a while since we watched season 1. Yep. Let's get them home. Optimism runs in the family. This is like a good sequel to a good Once Upon a Time season if it was a movie. Hmm. It's not too late to stop her. Look, they're still in the damn forest. But you're wondering how she gets to Storybrooke if they end up winning. Well, not spoiling. Maybe they win, maybe they don't. Just keep watching. I accidentally slipped out that she does go to Storybrooke, though. So, whatever your thoughts are on how this episode ends, nevertheless, this plot that we've been dealing with since the beginning of the season will be over after tonight. So, and I mentioned Snow and Mary Margaret, Snow and Emma were not going to be trapped in the Camp Forest anymore. So, how do villains and heroes both win? Watch. It is. That's a fair point because everyone forgot who they were. Regina left out that detail. That doesn't happen. Ripping out her daughter's heart out, that doesn't happen. This is still 28 years ago. They're trying to remind you that. How could you love a mother who killed your boyfriend? You've gone so far off the covenant path. You're evil at this point. Not in present day. Flashback, I mean. She does still care about Daniel, but taking on your mother's excuses for killing Daniel, like love is weakness, and you're taking that advice? Seriously, Regina? I think you know better after watching your boyfriend die. Or fiance, I guess, since he proposed and you were going to marry him. But yeah, this is back when she was evil. So yeah, it's flashback makes sense. But yeah, I just think it's interesting. Cora did the same thing. First, doesn't kill Cora, and now Cora doesn't kill Regina. They both fail at their plans. This is why they're both still alive. And this is how Mulan and Aurora didn't go to the Enchanted Forest because Cora made a protection shield from the curse. Now we have all our answers of why these people never left. "28 years later, we're back in present day. Curse is broken, and now she wants to go to Storybrooke to turn Regina evil again. We do not need this. We want Regina to be good." As far as Rumple, who cares about him? Could care, but hate to break it to you, Rumple's gonna be evil in later seasons. His redemption arc is not the center of the show, it's Regina's. Hooks isn't either, but Hooks becomes the center of the show when he has a love interest with Emma. That's obvious. But Snow's onto something here. She knows one of Cora's spells, and that's by blowing the squid ink. Exactly, and if you just blow it off the paper, it can break open a jail cell? That's weird. I never seen him do that. Magical ink, though. That's why. Yep, good always wins. Now they can go and stop Cora. Our night's almost over, guys. We've got 15 minutes left of this episode. They have a chance to stop Cora. They can't have Aurora go with them because Queen of Hearts has her heart. Get it? Queen of Hearts has her heart. Cora has her heart. So she can use it to control Aurora and make them stop them from going to Storybrooke. So it's smart to leave her behind, especially since she doesn't want to go there. She wanted to go to Storybrooke at first, but now she wants to save Philip. So I think that's good on her part. There's the ashes. And there's the compass. Unfortunately, though, Regina and Rumple believe Cora's gonna make it through, and unfortunately, they have a plan to kill her once she jumps through. So you might not want to jump through that, Cora. I wouldn't go through there if I were you. In other words, of course, them and Snow stop her, then they're gonna kill them on Snow. So this is bad. We got danger happening on both ends of the portal. And we don't see a lot of portals in season one, so I might be wrong, but no, no, we saw Bellfire fall through a portal. So this isn't our first portal in the show, but present day portal, of course. No one can survive this, no matter how powerful. That's not good. All right, final battle. Let it begin. The end of the movie, where you know you have to defeat the villain at all costs. Except it's not the end of the movie. This is sequel upon sequel upon sequel. This has 7 seasons for crying out loud. That's like 20 sequels of a movie. Maybe more than that, since the episodes make the story longer. Okay. Final battle fight. As the show goes from heroic to epic. Like watching a movie every single week. This was a great follow up to season one, don't you think? Great story. Time for it to come to an end. Yeah. Don't lose Aurora's heart! Wow, Hook's being a gentleman. Hook didn't want Aurora to lose her heart. He loves women too much. Hmm. Yeah, good idea. Leave the sword, but go save Aurora. Come on. I forgot I didn't put headphones in, so everyone on Facebook's probably hearing this, and I hope I don't get copyrighted like I've avoided in the past though when I didn't have headphones. I didn't realize this until the end of our night that I didn't have headphones on. Normally, I realize this right off the bat, like during our first episode, but no, we're almost done, and it's not worth plugging them in now. I've tested this. The sound doesn't go through the YouTube stream. So if I get away with Facebook and avoid YouTube copyrights, that doesn't mean I should risk showing the episodes though. That'd be bad if my channel got blocked. Don't want any copyright strikes. Let's go home. We defeated Hook. We defeated Cora. But now we have this problem. Turn it off before you can kill him in snow. Mm-hmm. 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 She killed Daniel. So is Cora that evil? Would she go through and pull Henry's heart out and kill a child? I don't think so. But she is that evil. But I don't think they would show that on the show. They would not kill a child, especially if they're a main character. She doesn't need you. She's trying to avoid you. Emma, you sacrificed your life for your mother. How heroic. No, love is not weakness. Cora can't pull out her heart. How come? It's strength. Exactly. Mhm. Jump, jump. Wait, don't jump! They're gonna kill you! Oh no! They jumped. They won. Emma still won. You gotta turn it off. Not the show, but Portal. Regina, listen to Henry. This is your moment. Be a hero. Don't kill Emma and Snow. Rumple's against it, but don't listen to it. Regina made the ultimate sacrifice for the sake of Henry. The portal closed. The portal closed. Portal closed. At least you were caught in the act of trying to save him. So Rumple was right about that. Henry wouldn't blame you. Oh, there's a hand. Another hand. Imagine climbing out of a well. That must be exhausting. Normal portals, you just jump out of the sky and fall on the ground, but that's a weird way to come through a portal. The magic whale. They're back home. I told you they would make it home. Wraps up the story arc for this part of the season, not the season. This part. But two more arcs to go before we finish it. Yeah. Your Cora is a piece of work. She's the Queen of Hearts for crying out loud. No wonder where Regina got her Queen of Hearts out. Now it's time to wake Charming from his sleeping curse, right? Why is everyone sad? True Love's Kiss has worked before. There's no way it would be different now. Even Henry woke up in the real world, so True Love's Kiss works in the real world. We know that. Now, this is how they would have possibly ended the season if they decided to carry this on for the entire season. But we now without spoiling, that's not the case. It feels like the end of another season, but it's not. We're not on season 3. We're still on season 2 next week. I'm sorry. But we're done with this story arc. So if you're tired of Emma and Snow being in the Enchanted Forest, you can relax. Rest assured, that arc is over. I like this next arc that's coming up. Look forward to starting that one next week with you guys. An emotional son and father reunion. A lot of stuff is going to go down. I told you we were going to see Rumple's son in this season. I told you we'd see him. Remember. The game is not rigged. Rumple's right. Emma did that all on her own. This game's not rigged. He just took advantage of who she was. He didn't plan it all. He had enough faith that Emma would break the curse. And remember, Rumple has the power as the Dark One to see the future. So he knows what happens. And he knew Emma was going to break the curse. And he doesn't know everything. His power comes with a limit. And so he doesn't know all the future. He just knows pieces, bits, and pieces. And one thing he didn't know was Emma and Snow coming back to Storybrooke. He didn't know that, which proves that he didn't plan it all. It all just happened that way. Emma did that all on her own. They don't show this in the show, but Aurora and Mulan do make cameos in the future, and they do save Philip. Philip does come back in the show in cameos, but they don't show us how they got him back, which is not relevant to the main season or plots in the future show. Anyway, so it's not a big deal that we don't see that. But as you can see, Mulan and Aurora are going to get Philip back, and we will see that already happen in later in the show. We won't see it as it's happening, but you know, just some stuff you don't have enough. Even with 22 episodes a season, you don't even have enough episodes to show that. Sometimes I ever wonder if this show came out today and they did only 10 episodes, how much would they have to cut out? Because they are lucky to have 22 and come out when they did. Because it waited later and you would not have been able to do this much of a show. 178 episodes, including a spin-off and specials. Doesn't happen anymore. Dinner at Granny's. Everyone wants to celebrate a family homecoming reunion, like when I came home from my mission and how we had dinner at our house. Of course, no one invited Regina though. And as I was talking, you could probably see Cora. They still have the magic beam that the giant had, and even though it doesn't work, the water from the lake has returnable properties. So that's how they get the Storybrooke, is that they make the magic bean work again. You know, the dead bean that the giant gave Emma, that Emma gave Hook. That's what was happening while I was. And now, while I was explaining that, Virginia Rumple was like, uh, one together, one out. Maybe one day they'll invite you for dinner. How harsh of Rumple to say that. Yeah, Regina wasn't invited to dinner. She feels left out. That's not part of making her a villain again, but still, that has to be said. And speaking of the devil, told you Cora was coming to Storybrooke. I let that out by accident. They may have won. Emma and Snow may have won, but Cora didn't fail. Not entirely. There's more. There's more drama to be unfolded next week, guys. We're off to a new plot, but same old season. New plot, same season, but it's a great plot. Can't wait to cover it with you guys next week. Okay, so we're just gonna let the credits finish. I don't want to play the next episode. We're done with episodes for tonight, but we will have our 10-minute Q&A, not 15 minutes, because we started this one 5 minutes late. All the other episodes only started 1 minute late. This one, I was talking forever about that dream world. I'm so sorry. But we mostly stayed on time, at least. Mostly. Okay, pause. All right, well, did anyone leave comments? Everything comes with a price, but Rumple does have a good side and love does change him for a bit. That is true. So yes, Rumple does does change. But he does go back to evil several times. And so, yeah. But yeah, in the end of the show, he does become good. By the end. But his redemption arc is the longest one on the show. It takes the whole show for him to be good. And again, that might defeat the purpose of what I said earlier. Is yes, the show is more focused on Regina's redemption arc. It is focused on Rumple as well, but yes, or yeah, it's focused on Rumple and Regina, but yeah, Regina's mostly good while Rumple keeps going bad, good over and over again. But yeah. And then there's another comment. Hi Ben, love the commentary. So yeah. Um so yeah, so that's all from Facebook. I wonder what do we have on YouTube? Nothing. YouTube has nothing. Hey, but we got 2 comments on Facebook, so at least my boldness got something in there. So yeah. So yes, this is what when I started this, that's what I was hoping. Obviously, I'm not as popular as other people out there who when I watch their live streams, they get a lot of comments, like comments every single second, you know. But when they're live, of course. Sometimes I don't get their live streams till they're done, and then I but like the comments still show, and not just show, but they show when they were coming in. Were you the one trying to open my door?
No.
Who was trying to open my door earlier?
I don't know.
Oh. Dinner's finally ready at 9:20.
Yeah.
So, yes, I've been starving watching this show with you guys. But we only got 9 more minutes left. We can hold off the eating a little bit. I would eat, but we just finished the show when Malin brought that in. And if I'm supposed to do most of the talking when we're done with the show, can't eat right now. You see me in the past, in my past commentaries, I ate during the episodes before, but that's because I don't talk much during them. Now I talk a lot at the end. But yeah, so I'm glad to hear that my commentary is good. I wish the rest of the world could think that, and I could get a lot more viewers. But yeah, like as I said, when I watch other live streams, whether live or not, even when they're not live, I see when the comments got dropped in, as I'm watching the video, and if I rewind it, they get deleted. There's a difference between commenting on a video and doing the chat section, at least on YouTube. So yeah, so I don't know how it works on Facebook. I think it's the same thing. Comments down below, and then there's like a side chat when it's actually live, and that's what I'm looking at right now. Of course, like when this live stream's over and you leave a question, I'll make sure to answer it next week. If it's as long as it's not over, feel free to send something now, and I can answer it. But yeah, fortunately, I'm not as lucky as other people out there. Specifically, the ones I watch are YouTube, not Facebook. I just thought it'd be nice to go live on both. That's why I started back in April with both. But yeah, I'm normally a YouTube live stream watcher. And when I watch other people's live streams, there's like thousands and thousands of comments. I don't know how many. And sometimes I left a comment, and there's so many comments that sometimes I leave a question, and the YouTuber doesn't answer it because there's just so many comments to catch up on. You can't get to all of them, which is okay. Some of them are the same question anyway, and they've been answered before if you weren't there at the beginning of the live stream. Otherwise, if you were, again, it was probably answered before. So, or if it didn't get answered, then you probably understand the situation, right? So yeah. Sadly, I'm not like those YouTubers. I was hoping by doing this show I would be, but I don't get all those comments, And plus, it'd be annoying if I kept having to answer questions during the show, which is why I said in the beginning, comment below and I will answer when we're done. And so, and most of these people who go live streaming on YouTube, they spend 2 hours answering questions. If I was like those YouTubers, if they couldn't get all the viewers' questions answered, how am I supposed to do that in 15 minutes after the show's over, right? I was pretty well expecting not to get as much as those other YouTubers out there, but I was hoping to get a little bit more than 0 or a few comments, and so I'm kind of glad that tonight I got a couple. So yeah, I would say before starting these live streams every Sunday night, I was probably expecting at least enough to cover 15 minutes at least. But luckily, in the past, even when no one was commenting on my post, even in the past, I've been able to talk your ear off for those extra 15 minutes at the end. And then also a few weeks ago when I was revisiting the Little Rock, Arkansas mission, I didn't need to ask questions because when we, on the rare occasions we do 4 episodes, we just cancel that. So, yeah. But yeah, obviously tonight and last week were not one of those nights. For the most part, we're just doing 3 episodes in a week, right? And I leave a 15-minute Q&A at the end when we don't start early. But yeah, at least we left 10 minutes to spare this time. Because I guess there's also been a few live streams in the past where we did 3 episodes, but with me starting late, we either skipped the Q&A or we made it a little short. But tonight we didn't really have to do that. We had most of our 15 minutes, except that last episode started 5 minutes late. But we still got 12 minutes in total. That's most of the 15. I'm still planning to end right at 9:30. So just because there have been a few times in the past where we got done at like 9:20 and I went till 9:35 just to give us our whole 15 minutes of commentary of answering comments. Um, um, I don't think, and obviously, even though I didn't get much any comments, I had enough to say to last. Well, not that, not I'm taking back anything I said. It is true. Most of my live streams, no one's left really any comments except for a few hi there's, and stuff like that. But like I've at least kept like how I'm talking to you right now. I at least kept enough to say to last in the an extra 15 minutes at the end of the live stream. And so with that said, I don't think I have enough to drag it on till 9:35 just to give us our whole 15 minutes. So we're just going to keep this at 10 minutes. I'm going to end right at 9:30 because I am actually running out of things to say. I'm almost ready to actually start eating and be done for the night. But for the time being, we didn't talk about that last episode very much. That was a good episode. That last one we watched, Emma and Snow made it back home. Cora found a different way there. So regardless whether they defeated her, she still made it to Storybrooke. It's going to be an interesting new arc next week. There's a lot in store. Rumple's being reunited with his son. I already hinted at that. I won't spoil anything I already said. Cora coming to Storybrooke. We already know that. There's a lot more in store. Again, do you remember when we watched the Giant episode last week? I told you he was going to make a comeback. We'll see him again in this upcoming arc of season 2. We'll see more Hook. And we'll see him in the real world this time, but in his fairy tale costume, because since he was never cursed, he doesn't have real world clothes. So I mean, he's stuck in his leather and stuff. But we got more to see. A lot of exciting things up in store, and then Regina's redemption arc and a bunch of other things. So season 2 is the messiest season. It's not organized plot wise. It's pretty much all over the place. I mean, you can argue that the first 9 episodes was pretty organized, but it gets a little messier from here on out. And there are a couple filler episodes ahead as well. So just embrace yourself. If you don't like the rest of season 2, please stick around because, and this is not my opinion, this is fact, most people intend to like season 3 a lot better and they forget season 2 ever happened. They go from breaking the curse to season 3 a lot of times and they forget, oh yeah, I forgot this season. This is the I bet you have that season in a TV show that you like when you were growing up, and I bet each show has their forgetful season. Once Upon a Time, this is the forgetful season. I'm not saying this is the worst season of the entire show. There are, in most opinions, worser seasons later on when the show becomes too messy or too dark or it's too boring for some people. It's not too boring for me. I stuck around for it at the end. I love the whole thing. But I'm not speaking for my opinion. I'm speaking for what everyone else thought about the show. And why the show got canceled in the first place was because it went downhill later on. But I think it was still good. And you can't judge a book by its cover, right? And you can't judge it until you know the whole story. So stick around till the end. You can judge when we actually finish the marathon, which is not until May 31st of 2026. So that's a long ways away. So in the meantime, stick around. If this is not the best kind of season, or your favorite, or one that you enjoyed watching, season 3 is really enjoyable. If you think season 2 is not as great, season 3 has a lot, like not my opinion. I think season 2 improves from season 1, and I think yes, season 3 does improve from season 2 as well. But like, I'm not, again, I'm not speaking from my opinion, just speaking in behalf of everyone who watched it live. Season 3 is a huge step up fact wise on from season 1. So, despite what you think going forward as we continue season 2, season 3 has the greatest plot twist in television history. It's pretty big. It's pretty good. It's not normal. Normally shows have a first few good seasons and then they die down. This has a good season. A good season. Season 2 is a little mixed reviewed, right? Some bad, some good. And then season 3 gets better. And then you have some of season 4, which is good, but then that's when it starts going downhill. But I hope you stick around for my live streams and watch the show if it's your first time watching. Even if you're just even if it's not and you're like me and you're revisiting the show from your childhood, I would still invite you to stick around for the end with me, okay? There's a reason why I did this public marathon in the first place. And I wanted to introduce it to new people, true, but I wanted to also watch it with someone for once and not watch it by myself like I do in the years past. So it is now 9:30. I finally talked us through the rest of the live stream. I finally give myself enough to say for those whole 10 minutes. And like I said, no need to go till 9:35. I'm done right now. We're going to end the live stream. So have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next week for episodes 10, 11, 12. New story arc for season 2. Have a great week and God be with you till we meet again. Bye. All right, that wraps up Facebook. Let me wrap up YouTube. I always like to start YouTube first because they're the ones that are going to stay on here forever. Facebook, they delete it after a month. It's actually a new policy that came about right before I started this. So, luckily, I knew that before we started. I was well prepared that these live streams are going to be deleted on Facebook eventually in a month from now. So, for everyone on YouTube, this is the reason why I start your live stream first and do Facebook second. Now that I've ended Facebook, it's time to end your live stream. Facebook's live stream is exactly 2 hours and 40 minutes. Yours is 2 hours and 42 minutes because you were on a minute longer before we started Facebook. And now you're on a minute after we ended Facebook. So, all right. Well, see you next week. Sorry, I'm rambling on of something that you probably don't even care about. Live streams and whatever. So, see you next week. And for episodes 10, 11, 12. Bye, y'all. Happy Once Upon a Time. Oh, you need to push end again. I push end a lot of times, but it doesn't end the live stream. It brings up a notification that says, "Are you sure you want to end this?" Yes, I do. So, all right. I'll stop talking now. Bye.